Hello. It's been a long time. I counted the videos on this YouTube channel I started, and I think I'm close enough to that 100 goal. So if I just pick up some of these half starts and stops. I'm in my studio. I manifested a house this year. No one in my immediate inner circle got COVID and died. But people's uncles and stepfathers have passed away in my family. And I'm mindful that I'm no longer on the couch counting the dead as I once was. But I'm super aware that people are losing people from this disease through strange commitments to individuality and individual choice and individualism. And we're a collective thing as a humanity right now. And that's in part what this respiratory thing is. So I came to work with the trees. I have redwood trees in my backyard now. Because they, of course, are doing all the work to generate the air and atmosphere that we're in, keeping our life alive. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. I want to read my thesis out loud to myself, and I wanted you to come along. This is a 10-year-old thesis now. It was September 2010 when I turned it in. I earned a master's degree for it. And I just want to remind myself of what I thought I knew then. And I am going to choose to skip my little family history. There are 2 pages or page and a half of that content. And I'm just going to begin with the art part, my art before JFK. By 40, when I entered the program, I'm 54 now. My art and offer in the world consisted of these primary things. Drawings and sketches with ink, pen and ink. Black Sharpie is my favorite. I have show and tell black Sharpies. Often these sketches would turn into coloring books, which I would then fill in with magic markers. Painted black paintings that covered up dead dreams and returned them to the void of possibility where night skies and other miracles would reclaim them, and organic, vaginally shaped heart paintings that indicated visually what I was always seeking and trying in my woman's way to be in the world, love made visible, which is the title of my artist statement written in my first semester's Transformative Art seminar as taught by Danny Hobson, who is an amazing photographer who put images inside liquid, inside jars of her ancestors. And that, I think, in part is what inspires the wine bottle pieces I'm making, chess pieces I'm making of my ancestors. But that's another project. I'll tell you about that a different time. 3, a collage form I called Window Souls, that I made up after Tech Planet died and did while my mother was healing from breast cancer, from images, all squares, coinciding with the transfer of television technology from the dots of color to the digits of digital. My practice at the time was to cut squares from magazines and fabric, to isolate the part of the image I liked most from an image I liked, and then to glue things down to various pages in various reclaimed books in a kind of unconscious way. After the book was full and bursting from its original binding, from all I'd added in images and glue, I'd rip the pages out and wrap the edges in copper or silver tape. The pages then turned to panels that I spray painted with lacquer, strung together on fishing line, and sometimes beaded between the panels. Then I'd hang them in the weather, the sunlight or wind or deep night. I felt they were images of my soul, a window into my soul. And they told the story of my life flashing before my eyes as it had or would unfold. After a while, and making enough of them for myself and my own story, I began to make these windowsill storybooks for friends on the occasion of a wedding or funeral rite of passage for them or someone dear to them. I made homemade books I called word houses out of recycled Capri Sun boxes and junk mail to house my decade-long practice of writing morning pages, a la Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. If you don't have that book or know that book or haven't started in the Julia Cameron way of daily creativity, I encourage you. I wrote these morning pages at the breakfast table with my kids while they were small and learning to write and draw and color. Many of the pages in these books are written on top of their early writing attempts, always recycling or upcycling or continuing to include the flotsam and jetsam of my daily ephemera in a way that I find now in this space to be part of the sustainability project that's happening here. 5, for many years as gifts, after first making them for myself, I made birthing necklaces. These were overwhelming and heavy beaded fertility journeys designed to help someone bring something they imagined into being, which I made first for myself while I was pregnant with the children I was able to bring all the way to term after miscarrying 3 times. I made them as beaded prayer journeys, and I wove the intention that they would help me bring my children all the way into the world safely. On each strand was my prayer, my prayer, my prayer. Later, as I would meet people who were involved in fertility treatment, I would offer a necklace. And often, months later, I would receive a note of thanks and a picture of their baby. And 6, I wrote morning pages, poems, blog entries, and stories from, for, and about my life in the moments of its making. I wanted to be a writer, so I showed up at the virtual internet reel page and I wrote every day. I wrote to discover what was really going on in my life and to see what would come through the act of writing as wisdom from inside myself. When I wanted to publish what I wrote, I would invoke a theme and invite others into their own writing response, and then publish our collaboration. Whenever possible, to celebrate each birth of every new book, I'd invite a gathering of other creative types to a kind of potluck, and we'd all share our stuff on the walls and on the stage of that particular moment in time. I would act as the MC and hostess for the evening and weave the connections between people I thought were supposed to meet one another. And in the appointed moments, I would read my stuff, perform my poems, move and dance and be myself on stage in front of the assembled others I called to circle, and then pass the gauntlet. And we would continue like that, spinning around the circle and sharing until all our time ran out. I just wanted to read that much tonight and get myself back here to doing some of this tomorrow. If tomorrow comes and I show up, I'll read a little more on art and self-healing. Thanks for coming to the Crestline studio. I should turn the world around and show you a little bit of what's going on in here. And I promise to tell you more as I continue to show up. I'm glad you found me in Crestline. I'm calling myself the Crestline Creatrix. And this whole house experiment here is the sustainability studio. And at some point there'll be artist residencies offered, and when we can gather again, there'll be ritual and celebration and lots of love to share. Thanks for coming to the studio with me. I'm Beth Benson. We're in Crestline. Happy creating.